Welcome to Growing Together, a podcast that covers a range of topics on food, food security, and disability. Today's episode is part 2 of a 2-part episode on getting to know the Disabled Independent Gardeners Association, or DIGA. DIGA is a nonprofit organization that provides opportunities for people with physical disabilities to actively participate in gardening. In the previous episode, we gave an overview of the work DIGA does to ensure accessible gardening for its members and how DIGA became established in Vancouver. Today we will dive into DIGA's strong relationship with its affiliated society, the Tetra Society, and some of DIGA's extremely anticipated projects. I am Maya Nelson-Roundtree, your host. Before starting, we would like to acknowledge that we are calling in today from the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Growing Together. The Tetra Society, like DIGA, is one of the 6 societies within the Disability Foundation. Tetra works to find solutions to environmental barriers faced by people with disabilities. It works closely with DIGA to make the technical side of accessible gardening possible. To learn more about the relationship between Tetra and DIGA, I spoke with David Fong, the Executive Director of DIGA.
One of the great things about DIGA and our affiliated societies is that the different societies work together. No one society is an island on its own. We work on projects across different societies. So when something like DIGA that requires a planter, a new design that may not be available on the market, we have Tetra coming in, design it, test it, try it out, pilot it. So that's also, we find that very exciting. There's a lot of cross collaboration.
So I think that everyone at DIGA kind of has a consensus that our work could not be done without the help of Tetra. They have just been such incredible supports to the foundation of the work that we do, whether that be through building the raised beds themselves or the tabletop beds, installing the drip irrigation, or kind of innovating and making adapted tools that are catered towards the specific needs of a particular DIGA member. We definitely work incredibly closely with Tetra.
That was Sasha Gardiva, a DIGA co-op student who has worked greatly to tend the DIGA plots in collaboration with Tetra.
George Shipley, a volunteer from Tetra. He is someone that I've been lucky to have the chance to work super closely with this summer in setting up one of the drip irrigation systems at a plot. And so kind of how that process worked was George and I would meet at the plot that was being fitted with the system. We would kind of problem solve and work together to lay out the drip line, make sure that the glue in all the fittings was setting well. And kind of in the process of that, he was a super great mentor to me in kind of passing down his knowledge to me with the process of working together to set it up for our member. And I think that experience for me really summed up the importance of Tetra's work and the importance of Tetra's collaboration with DIGA and the impact that it makes on DIGA's members.
Tetra recruits volunteers who work with clients to design and build customized assistive devices. George Shipley has been a Tetra volunteer for over 10 years and has played an immense role in constructing devices and systems to enable members to independently and actively participate in gardening. A key adaptive device George has helped construct is the automatic drip irrigation system, or simply put, an automatic watering system. George Shipley describes what brought DIGA to adopt this drip irrigation system.
At some of the other gardens, the DIGA people were taking their clients around to the gardens themselves. They had a van, and they put the people in the van and then drive them over, and then they could do their gardening. They said sometimes it would be more convenient for the bed to be watered every day because the clients could only get to the beds maybe once a week or a couple times a week. They didn't want the plants to dry out, of course. So that's why somebody at Diga said, oh, it would be nice to have an automatic system. Well, that was, so they didn't, the idea didn't originate with me. You know, they said, we want an automatic system. And so I said, well, a timer is the solution that I could see, a timer and the proper plumbing, and that's all there is.
This automatic watering system has made a big difference for Diga members, like Terry.
So, it's a little hard to get over the garden every hot, sunny day. So it automatically waters. And so that's very helpful.
How exactly does a Tetra volunteer work with a Diga client to implement these systems like the automatic watering system? George Shipley explains how he made an automatic watering system and a toolbox for a Diga member.
Just recently, Mary Steves wanted an automatic system. With Mary, she knew exactly what she wanted, which was very nice for me because I knew exactly what to make. What do you want to make? And I'll do my best to make it. So with Mary, I said, here's the timer, and this is a box about the size of the box that we'd make. She said, oh, could you make the box a little bigger so I could put my hand tools in it? She has a little hand trowel, some string, and some scissors. And we measured the size of her tools. So I made the box that big enough she could put her tools in it. And then the rest of it was straightforward plumbing. And then so Diga bought all the supplies and I supplied the labor.
In addition to watering systems, another significant adaptive feature Tetra provides is the implementation of raised beds, which are elevated gardening plots for members with mobility challenges and in wheelchairs.
The raised beds that I've been involved with are two kinds. One is you have a plot of land and then you just build walls up, and the walls start right at the ground and go up to about the height of the armrest on a wheelchair, and that's about 30 inches. And then you fill that 30 inches with dirt, and then you end up with about a foot of soil, which is really all you need for most vegetables. So that's one type of bed. And then the other bed is you have about a foot or maybe a little more of soil, but that whole, and we build a box. So the box has walls of just over a foot high and has a bottom on it. And then you put that box, it's like a sandbox. You put that box on legs. So the whole thing sits up off the ground, and then a wheelchair can wheel underneath the bed and you reach over directly, stick your arm straight out in front of you and do the gardening. Otherwise, the clients always, if they're in a wheelchair or a walker, they have to lean over the edge and reach across to do their gardening. So I've made both kinds of beds.
On occasion, Tetra also designs assistive gardening tools for Diga members. Victory Obefuna, a Diga program coordinator, further describes these assistive gardening tools.
They build adapted tools that are not typically found in your conventional gardening store. So each of these tools are custom designed for each member. So depending on the person's physical condition or limitation, Tetra would make a tool specifically for them, and so they can use it.
About 4 or 5 years ago, the coordinator at Diga said they had a client that they needed to do some spading of their raised bed. This client was obviously could walk because the raised bed was only about a foot high, but their hands were not able to grip the typical handle on a spading fork. So I bought a spading fork, we took it into the shop and we modified it. So we changed the handle essentially. So instead of using it one hand on the handle they were able to use both hands on almost like handlebars, so that they were able to use both hands and gave them a better grip.
All in all, the work Diga does with Tetra is to ensure their members get a personalized gardening experience, to ensure their barriers to gardening are reduced or eliminated. Sasha Gordieva describes what an automatic system has done for a client.
The member who had the plot fitted with the drip irrigation system sent us like a little thank you email afterwards, just expressing how happy she was to be able to have this automated system so that she wouldn't need to visit the garden herself so often or ask other community members to water for her. It really promoted an independent experience for this member, and she was really grateful. And it was just so cool to see, the impact that it had on her. And it's definitely all thanks to Tetra.
Well, it's very gratifying for me because I like making stuff. One of the guys in the woodworking shop, he had a T-shirt that says, "I make stuff." So I like making things, and of course, I only make things that I think are going to be useful for somebody, and the work that I've done always gets used by somebody, and it's pretty obvious that if I didn't do these things that are done, they wouldn't be able to garden the way they do.
Tetra has and continues to address the environmental barriers to gardening for Diga members. It will also help Diga achieve new heights, as there's a lot more in store for Diga when it comes to reaching more people and striving to innovate to further break down barriers. One of Diga's highly anticipated projects is the Home Gardening Project. To find out more about this, I spoke to Michelle Wood, a coordinator of Diga.
This is a project that I'm very passionate about, and I really played a major role in designing it. And that's something I'm really proud of. This is my first program pilot that I'm designing, so it's kind of my baby. It was first inspired during the pandemic itself, as COVID brought to light that whole feeling of isolation that people feel, particularly those with disabilities, feel on a daily basis. It also highlighted the fact that people with compromised immune systems might not be able to go to the public events or community gardens, but there's no reason these people shouldn't still enjoy gardening or any other recreational activity. So this is where the idea spawned to create a at-home gardening system where people in wheelchairs or other mobility devices can have a planter on their deck or patio so they don't have to worry about expensive renovations in their backyard. This planter is designed to basically grow anything you want. It has a capacity of 12 inches of soil in a 3-foot wide planter on wheels. It also has a sub-irrigation system where there's actually a water reservoir underneath the planter where people just have to fill it once every 2 weeks and leave it. So that alleviates the need to actually water your plants daily, and you can just enjoy the fun part of gardening, which is weeding and just sitting there and enjoying and being submersed in nature.
Another exciting upcoming project is the GF Strong Initiative.
The GF Strong Initiative is a newly established, or in the process of establishing, a new garden at the GF Strong Rehabilitation Center in Vancouver. And the aim for the garden is to kind of create community within the center and to bring the community kind of inside and make a collaboration project with the GF Strong Rehabilitation Center and Diga together. And so the garden is set up in a courtyard within the center, and there are 9 beds that are planned currently, with kind of a division between inpatient allocated beds and eventually DIGA member allocated beds for any DIGA member that would like to procure their own plot and garden at the center. And the garden is definitely still in the works. We've luckily been able to really maintain and upkeep the space throughout the summer and turn it into something so gorgeous, as I'm sure Michelle and Victory would agree. And I'm just really looking forward to seeing how the project progresses once we are able to have a grand opening of the space and able to kind of invite the outside community in to enjoy the space with GF Strong clients. That's kind of a general overview of kind of what the project is looking like right now and what our aims are for it.
It's a beautiful space. It's really come about since I became involved in the project in late March, and it's just fabulous. And I can't wait for us to host our first in-person workshop at the center, inviting both inpatients and the community members in. I think it'll really help those recovering from their injuries kind of gain a sense of freedom and community as they're healing.
DIGA has a lot going on. It has workshops, plots within several community gardens, and several upcoming projects. If you're looking to get involved with any of these initiatives, Sasha can tell you how.
So there are just so many ways that anyone who's interested can get involved with DIGA. And if getting involved with us sounds like something that you'd be interested in, you can either apply to be a member. So you can, if gardening is something that you wanna do with DIGA, you can check out our website and email. The address is info@digabc.org in order to get more information on what's available in terms of DIGA plots and which gardens have openings for coming seasons, or even just to get more information on what joining the gardening program looks like. And that doesn't, the opportunities don't end there. You can also sign up to be a volunteer with DIGA. We're always looking for volunteers and always so appreciative of the work that volunteers do for our members and for the organization as a whole. And you can volunteer, whether that be through one-on-one support, working directly with a DIGA member, or community garden maintenance, kind of getting to maintain the garden and take part in work parties at the community gardens to fulfill service requirements. As well, we have some opportunities for content creation in the fall coming up. So if you're interested in researching for social media or researching just in terms of like gardening content that we can post on either our Facebook or Instagram, there's so many opportunities to get involved. And for volunteering, you can also check out our website and our email address as well. And if you're just looking to kind of see more of what DIGA is all about, check out our Facebook page at the Disabled Independent Gardeners Association, as well as Instagram at DIGABC. And you can find us on Twitter at the Disability Foundation.
You just heard about the ways in which the Tetra Society plays a large role in breaking down the barriers to gardening through automatic watering systems, raised beds, and other customized adaptations. You also got a sneak peek into DIGA's upcoming home gardening project that will enable people to enjoy gardening without leaving their homes, and the GF Strong project that will soon be a place of community building and healing. This was part 2 of a 2-part episode all about DIGA. If you missed the first part and want to learn more about DIGA's initiatives, its values, and how DIGA got started, feel free to hit that play button for part 1. This concludes the podcast series of Growing Together. This podcast covered topics on food, food security, and disability. To everyone listening right now, thank you so much for tuning into conversations with individuals from coast to coast to coast. This podcast was brought to you by the Disabled Independent Gardeners Association and was kindly supported by Ingenium, Canada's Museums of Science and Innovation. Thank you again for tuning into the podcast series of Growing Together.